You've asked yourself, what's wrong with me? You think you're just anxious, dramatic, or bad at relationships. But what if I told you you're just running on survival code? Code your brain wrote before you were 7 years of age. The way you react when you're hurt. The way you panic when someone gets too close. The way you overthink, shut down, or chase chaos in love. It's not a flaw, it's a map. A map your nervous system drew from a time when you didn't have words, just instinct. If this is hitting something in you, but you haven't seen part 1 yet, go watch Why We Love the Way We Do first. It lays the foundation for everything we're about to unpack, especially the emotional blueprint you learned before you even knew what love was. This video, it's not about fixing you. It's about showing you why you are the way you are and how to finally update the system. Hey, it's Nardia. Here's what we're going to unpack today. So if you've ever wondered, why do I keep doing this? Stay with me. We're going to go deep. First, we'll explore how your nervous system was wired for survival and why your personality is actually a pattern. We'll break down how coping mechanisms from childhood, like people-pleasing, shutting down, or hyper-independence, became your identity without you even realizing it. Next, we'll talk about why safe love feels boring and how your brain might be confusing calm for danger. We'll unpack the real reasons behind promiscuity, emotional shutdowns, and self-sabotage, with compassion, not judgment. And finally, I'll show you how all of this can be reversed. Yes, reversed. Because the same brain that survived can be taught to feel safe. This isn't about blaming your past. It's about understanding it so you can stop coping and actually start living. So let's start by pulling back the curtain on why you actually react the way you do. Because none of it is random. You're not the only one who never asks for help. Most of us who don't learned it the hard way. Maybe someone made you feel weak or like a burden. So now, when you're drowning, you'd rather sink quietly than say, I need you. You ever feel bored in a peaceful relationship? Like the calm makes you anxious? That's not weird, it's wiring. If love always felt chaotic growing up, your body now equates chaos with connection. So when things are steady, it feels wrong because your nervous system doesn't trust calm. And look, let's talk about control. If you're constantly overthinking, always trying to manage everyone and everything, it's not because you're controlling. It's because control was the only thing that made you feel safe in a world that was unpredictable. None of this means you're broken. It means you adapted. Your brain and body found a way to survive what felt unbearable. And they did it before you even knew how to name what was happening. Think back to your childhood. Not just the big moments, but the everyday atmosphere. What did love feel like in your house? Was it warm, consistent, or something you had to earn? We all had our own version of normal growing up, even if it was completely dysfunctional. And as kids, we're not logical, we're emotional. We don't analyze, we absorb. So when the environment around us was unstable, our bodies started writing a survival manual. No permission asked, no warning given, just adaptation. If love was inconsistent, sometimes warm, sometimes cold, your nervous system learned to stay ready. You stopped trusting the good moments because the bad ones always followed. If love was conditional, be good or be punished, you started performing. You became the good kid, the achiever, the helper, because love had a price tag. If love was chaotic, yelling, silence, instability, your body learned to scan for danger constantly. You didn't feel safe. You felt responsible for keeping the peace. From there, coping kicked in. Not because you chose it, but because your body did. So maybe you learnt to be quiet because that meant less attention. Maybe you learnt to be hyper-independent because help never came. Maybe you chased perfection because that's when the yelling stopped or the praise came. These weren't flaws. These were brilliant automatic survival tools. Your nervous system kept you alive the only way it knew how. And now, years later, you're still running that same survival playbook, even if the danger is long gone. If this is hitting home and you're seeing yourself in these survival patterns, I made something that I think might help. It's called From Coping to Clarity. It's a free guide to help you spot the patterns that kept you safe. Hopefully, we can start gently letting them go. The link's in the description box below. But what happens when you try to live without that old survival playbook? Here's the part no one really talks about. The same coping strategies that once protected you are now the very things holding you back. That's why peace can feel like boredom. Why stability makes you itch. Why things are finally calm. At that stage, you feel this strange urge to run. Because to your nervous system, stillness still doesn't feel safe. It feels suspicious. Remember in my last video, we talked about how your childhood shaped your attraction style. This is where that pattern really shows up, in how you love, cope, and protect yourself today. When your entire body's been wired to navigate chaos, peace doesn't feel like home. It feels like something's wrong, like the other shoe is about to drop. So what happens when someone kind, calm, and consistent finally shows up? You don't relax. You scan for danger. You overanalyze the text, the tone, the silence. Not because you're paranoid, but because your nervous system is still looking for the pattern it used to survive. Healthy love, it doesn't trigger the fight or flight response. So your body, used to adrenaline, decides it must be fake, or boring, or unsafe. These patterns don't just live in your head. They show up in who you choose, how you love, and what you push away. And this is where it starts to show up in your relationships. You don't mean to sabotage love. You're not choosing chaos, but your nervous system is chasing what it already knows. If your dad was emotionally unavailable, you might keep chasing people who ghost you. Not because you like being ignored, but because deep down, it's familiar to you. It mirrors the pattern you know. If your mum only showed love when you were good, when you performed, achieved, helped, then love started to feel like something you had to earn. So now you become the overgiver, hoping, praying someone will finally see your worth. And when someone kind shows up, texting back, being consistent, respecting your boundaries, you pull away, you get bored. Or worse, you convince yourself you're not into them. Why? Because your body doesn't know how to sit in peace. Here's the truth no one really prepares us for. Real intimacy isn't about closeness, it's about being seen. And being seen is terrifying when you were never taught it was safe. Safe love asks you to do something radical, to slow down, to trust, to let someone witness the real, unfiltered you. And if that wasn't modeled for you, you keep things surface level. You might get close physically, but stay a million miles away emotionally. Not because you're cold, not because you're broken, but because vulnerability once felt dangerous. And your body still remembers. Here's where it gets tricky and really uncomfortable for some of us to hear. Whether you were the abuser or the abused, what you were really in was survival mode. Different reactions, same root cause. A nervous system trying to protect itself. If you grew up around yelling, violence, or power struggles, you might have learnt that the only way to feel safe was to be in control, to raise your voice before someone else did, to hit before you got hit, to dominate because that meant you couldn't be hurt. But that's not who you are. That's who you became to feel safe in a dangerous world. And if you were the one being abused, you might have stayed, not because you wanted to, but because it was familiar to you. That roller coaster of fear, hope, guilt, and love, it wasn't love. It was trauma bonding. It was your nervous system clinging to anything that felt like connection, even when it hurt. Here's the good news. Healing is possible. It doesn't start with fixing. It starts with seeing, really seeing, that these patterns aren't who you are. They're just what you learned in a world that didn't feel safe. You're not broken, you're patterned. And patterns can be rewritten. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to get it right. You just need to start being real. To sit with calm, even when it feels unfamiliar. To let your body learn that peace isn't dangerous, it's just new. And yeah, it's awkward at first. Like trying on clothes that don't feel like they're yours. But keep wearing them. Because safety, softness, rest, those aren't luxuries. They're your birthright. So let's leave with this. You're not broken. You're brilliantly adapted. You survived things you were never meant to go through. Your body found a way to protect you. And now it's time to thank that system and gently teach it something new. It's not about surviving anymore. It's about learning to live, to trust peace, to feel calm and let it stay. If this spoke to something in you, let's talk about it. Drop it in the comments below. What part hit hardest? What pattern are you unlearning? I read every single one and try to reply to most. I want this space to feel like a community. Let's help each other. You're not the only one walking through this, that I promise. And if you're ready to keep going, hit subscribe. We're just getting started. This journey of unlearning, of remembering who you are underneath it all, it's only the beginning. You're not alone here. See you in the next one.